I declare these proceedings of the 69th commencement of Utah Valley University to be in session. Please remain standing for the posting of the colors by the UVU ROTC cadets and the national anthem performed by Abby Staples from South Jordan, who is graduating today with a bachelor's degree in music.
Thank you, and please be seated. Welcome to Utah Valley University's 69th commencement ceremony, and the first in which this institution will present graduates of the Master of Education program, UVU's first graduate degree. We meet today to recognize students, parents, community members, and invited guests. This morning, we will be honored to hear from Larry Echohawk, Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs for the U.S. Department of the Interior. We will confer honorary doctorate degrees on Mr. Echohawk and longtime UVU friends Linda P. Walton and Miles and Mary Morris, who will be introduced more fully later in the program. We will now be privileged to hear from Trevor Took, Student Body President for the 2009-2010 academic year. Trevor hails from Spanish Fork, Utah, and is anticipating graduation in December of this year.
Well, I feel obligated today to start by saying thank you to all of the great UVU graduates and students. You have made my tenure as Student Body President most enjoyable. I've been honored to serve and represent you this past year. The caliber of students at Utah Valley University is incredible, and the opportunities we have been afforded through this past year will benefit us for a lifetime. I'd also like to thank President Holland, the vice presidents, and the entire UVU community who has strongly embraced and highly valued the student voice all year. Now, a little story about myself. When I was a little kid, I called 911 to report that I had just guzzled an entire bottle of grape-flavored Dimetap cold medicine. I told the operator, the police better hurry and get someone to my house because my mom, when she finds out, is going to kill me. My concern was understandable, but perhaps misplaced. I had the right tools, but I didn't know the proper procedures for how or when exactly to use them. Fortunately, through a formal education, and sometimes learning lessons the hard way, we learn how to apply the tools we have been given and learned throughout our lives. Today I can report, and my mother can be extremely proud, that I am smart enough to not drink an entire bottle of cold medicine. Life is full of experiences that change how we see life. 3 years ago, during Christmas break, I was leaving this very building where I was selling season passes for the UVU group I helped create called The Mall, or the Mighty Athletic Wolverine League. Just before I got to the door, a man who was nearly a stranger to me approached and handed me a $100 bill. Then he said, "I appreciate all you do for this school. Thank you for all your hard work. Here's an early Christmas present." This and other factors motivated me to pursue student leadership positions and eventually become the UVU Student Body President. I wanted to pay it forward and give back to the university. Let me relay another personal story that changed my perspective, both literally and figuratively. 3 summers ago, I was struck in the right eye with a racquetball at close range at a speed of nearly 150 miles an hour. A few weeks later, I underwent an extensive surgery to repair my 4 tears in the detached retina. After removing my eyeball using laser technology to repair the retinas, I was on the road to recovery. It was a painful recovery. For weeks, I was forced to lie on my left side. I wore an eye patch for over a month and even had to drive using only one eye for a few weeks. Trevor being allowed to drive with only one eye was probably the scariest part of this entire experience. I have almost fully regained vision in my right eye. However, I had to learn to wear glasses to enhance my vision. Also, I had to constantly protect my eye and frequently add eye drops, something I hated to do. Today, I can't leave the house without my glasses. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know what I'd do without them. They've protected my eyes from several other close calls. Now, my left eye is my strong eye, or in other words, this experience helped me turn a weakness into a strength. During this time, I gained an appreciation for those who don't have perfect vision. This experience taught me to look at people differently, respecting their challenges and valuing their strengths. My injury forced me to look at others using a different lens, and I have great empathy now for others that I meet, and I can appreciate all they have been through and the challenges they've had to overcome. These experiences remind me that challenges are simply opportunities in disguise. Similarly, our education, while difficult at times, has now turned into great opportunities. The different events in our lives truly help us focus the lens we use to look at life. Like my experiences with the $100 bill and my eye surgery, I learned from them and I gained a better experience and a better perspective on life. Now, I'd like to remind you of a few things that have happened this past year that might have affected your perspective on life. Twitter was invented. A young man got stuck in the Nutty Putty caves and passed away. Susan Powell went missing. Larry H. Miller passed away. 2 men got arrested in Salt Lake City for kissing in public. We surfed the web using Bing, Flickr, Facebook, Twitter, KSL, Skype, Hulu, Wikipedia, ESPN, or Google. People tweeted. The king of pop passed away. The governor of Utah was promoted to be the ambassador of China by the first African-American president of the United States. We still haven't stopped terrorists from lighting their shoes or underwear on fire. The most popular golfer in the world upset us all. Michael Jordan didn't show up to the Utah Flash game. Were you honestly surprised, people? A UVU student and teacher passed away in a plane crash near Utah Lake. Former UVU president Wilson Sorensen passed away. UVU got a new president this past year, Matthew Holland, who helped us summarize what and who we are in 3 words: inclusive, serious, and engaged. We finally got a Jamba Juice on campus, but not a Cafe Rio yet. And people tweeted. UVU has grown quickly with enrollment reaching nearly 30,000. Unemployment also grew quickly, reaching nearly 12%. The revered US lawmaker Ted Kennedy died of brain cancer. H1N1, also known as the swine flu, hit our country, and people tweeted. Ronnie Price put UVU on the map playing basketball for the Utah Jazz, who went on to win the NBA championships in 2010 thanks to a Ronnie Price performance. Hopefully anyway. Thank you. Go Jazz. Michael Vick played football again. T-Pain and Lil Wayne went to jail. With the help of a few UVU alumni, Team USA brought home the most medals from the Vancouver Olympics. Bernie made off with a lot of money. We have the first Hispanic Supreme Court justice. And maybe you heard something about healthcare this year. Lots of people tweeted. We all ate at In-N-Out Burger. President Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize. An aircraft landed in the Hudson River with no fatalities. The show Lost is finally almost finished. Glee took over as the popular show of choice. Susan Boyle became a huge hit, and Ellen replaced Paula on American Idol. The fans all tweeted. Avatar was very cool, but some thought that the Twilight series New Moon was good. We jammed to Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus and Fireflies by Owl City. And unfortunately, some of you jammed to the Jonas Brothers. We all got a healthy dose of the Black Eyed Peas. A homemade hot air balloon blew away with a boy in it. No, wait, that was all a big hoax. John and Kate plus 8 split up, and the Octomom, well, she became the Octomom. There was a tragedy at Fort Hood. Kanye West stole the show from Taylor Swift. Celebrities all tweeted. We all planted important seeds and harvested fruit on Facebook's Farmville, Farmtown, and Fishville. Toyota recalled millions of cars. Kelly Clarkson made us all feel important with her song, My Life Would Suck Without You. and Real Salt Lake brought home the first major league championship for the state of Utah when they defeated David Beckham and the LA Galaxy. Utahns all tweeted. Pam had a baby on The Office. That's what she said. Parkway Crossing caught green fever and changed their name to Wolverine Crossing. Nice move. UVU opened the Losi Center for Student Success and broke ground on the Hal Wing track. Secured funding for a new science building, thanks to our amazing president, administrators, and generous donors. Did I already mention that we got a Jamba Juice on campus? Okay. UVU women's basketball, soccer, and outdoor track teams won their conference championships. Nate Mathis and Mike Jacobson both tweeted. David after the dentist was a YouTube sensation. A dog named Bo is guarding the White House. Most of you have an iPhone or now an iPad. People tweet on those iPhones and iPads. We all used a DVR or TiVo. Major earthquakes affected several countries, including Haiti, Chile, and Mexico. I got married and had a baby this year. Thank you. You concluded your degree, and much more. Now, to conclude my remarks, even if I just haven't met you yet, my advice to you is that you must live like we are dying, because I got a feeling there's a party in the USA. Now, maybe you'll wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy, or you'll wake up and say, I'm still alive, but I'm barely breathing. Whatever the case, in the nicest way, I hope you are the next big tweet. Congratulations on this great accomplishment. You will make UVU very proud. Thank you.
You can see what a treat and a tweet it's been to work with Trevor this year. He's done an excellent job representing the students. Joining him on the platform today are valedictorians from each college and school, and I'd like to introduce each of them and ask them to stand. Please hold your applause until all have been acknowledged. Your program does contain more information about these exceptional students. Representing the College of Humanities and Social Sciences are Linda Moore, who's receiving a Bachelor of Science degree, and Jin Tay, who is receiving an Associate in Science degree. Representing the College of Science and Health are Ruslana Parker, Bachelor of Science, and Daniel Clark, Associate in Science. Representing the College of Technology and Computing are Matthew Alphen, Bachelor of Science, and Kristen Wood, Associate in Applied Science. Representing the School of the Arts are Kelly Parker, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and Annette Skews, Associate in Arts. Representing the School of Education is Erica Fortiani, who will receive a Bachelor of Science degree. Representing University College are Clayton Priest, Bachelor of Science, and Stina Nyhus, Associate in Science. Representing the Woodbury School of Business are Simon Gilmore, Bachelor of Science, and Hillary Sterling, Associate in Science. UVU is very proud of its students, and many of them have received awards and distinctions in various academic, athletic, and extracurricular areas. Our valedictorians specifically have been honored at various events in recent weeks and at their respective convocations. Please join me in a round of applause for our valedictorians and the rest of UVU's outstanding students. Today, the graduating class of 2010 becomes a new generation of UVU alumni. With that in mind, we will now hear a few remarks from T.J. Fund, President of the UVU Alumni Association and member of the UVU Board of Trustees.
Thank you, President. It's going to be a challenge following Trevor. I've greatly enjoyed working with him and the other trustees this year. Welcome, graduates. I'm privileged to be able to represent the alumni today and the Alumni Association in welcoming you as members of the Alumni Association. I also just want to say a brief word about our speaker, Larry Echohawk. I had the opportunity and privilege of learning criminal law basics from him during law school and was impressed then, as were his colleagues, evidently on the BYU Law School faculty, by his his ability to teach, his knowledge, and his ability to organize. So we are privileged to have him speaking to us today. As incoming alumni, I would like to give you two charges. But to set the stage for that, I'd like to have you close your eyes just briefly so that you can get in your mind a mental picture of a couple of things. The first thing I'd like you to picture in your mind is a BMW. Now, some of you may not be BMW lovers. You may be of the Mercedes clan, or you may prefer Lexus or some other luxury car. So if you are, pick your luxury car of choice, but I'll refer to it all as BMW. I'd like you to think about the stature that the BMW brand has. I'd like you to think about how you feel about BMW, how you feel about being in a BMW, driving in a BMW, how the world perceives it. Now I'd like you to change for just a moment. I'd like you to picture an apple tree seed and see that seed being planted. Watch that seed sprout into a sapling, then grow and begin to bear leaf. And after it bears leaf and grows even more, it bears fruit. And as the seasons change, the leaves fall, the fruit falls, the cycle begins again, and the tree is renewed the next year. So with those images in mind, the first charge I would like to give you as alumni is to excel. And I'll recall to your minds the image of the BMW. And as you're thinking about the BMW, I'd like you to ask you, who is the Executive Vice President of Operations for BMW? Do you know? Is that what drives your perception of the brand, of the value of what a BMW is? I dare say that in virtually every case, that is not. What drives your perception of the brand, of the value of that car, is the cars on the road, is the operation of those cars, the way they look and the way they feel, and the desire you have to own them. I'll submit to you that you are the BMWs of this university. You are the products that this university is putting out, and it's based on your performance that this university will be judged. And so I ask you to excel. Whatever you do, do it as well as you possibly can. Seek to be the best you can be in whatever you choose to be. And not only will you benefit personally from that, but you'll give back to your university. You'll pay it back, pay it forward, as Trevor mentioned. To reinforce that a little bit, the second charge I would like to give you today as alumni is to engage. So I want you to call to mind the tree that you planted in your mind and that you saw grow, that you saw pass through seasons. Think about what it means to have a root system that feeds a trunk, that feeds branches, that creates leaves, and those leaves depend upon the roots to pull the nutrients it needs out of the soil. The roots and the trunk and the branches depend upon the leaves to collect sunlight, to feed the processes that run inside the tree. The trees and the root depend upon the trunk to grow the tree, to have it reach ever higher so that it can receive even more sunlight, and the branches to be able to spread wide and increase the capacity of the tree to do its job. This university and you as graduates have a symbiotic relationship like the tree. As you will be the leaves that go out and gather and are out kind of on the forefront, gathering the energy for this university. But realize that the more you pay it back, the more you give your leaves back to the soil to enrich the soil for the tree and for the roots, the more you give cover for animals to live within the tree and to fertilize the soil, the greater the strength of those roots in that branch will be, the higher the tree will reach, and the more success you will be able to reap from your degrees, from your diplomas, and from your experience here. So I leave you with those two images and hope that they are enduring. I'm grateful to be able to work here with this wonderful administration and president. I know that they are engaged in the mission of enriching your futures and invite you to be engaged in enriching the futures of those who follow after you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fund, belovedly known by his friends and close associates as TJ. Under the direction of the UVU Associate Professor of Music, James Colonna, the UVU Brass and Percussion Ensemble will now play Summon the Heroes by John Williams. Talent we have at UVU. That was just outstanding and really just emblematic of the many performing groups that we could have had on display today for you, showcasing the extraordinary things this university is capable of. Thank you again. It's an honor for me to now address you and to this group, to have Secretary Larry Echohawk here with his family, to have so much support from the Commissioner's Office, our Board of Regents, the trustees, our outstanding faculty and staff who give so much, friends and other local dignitaries from the community, family who are here today, and especially for me, Matt Holland, the greatest honor is to be with you students. You are the ones that we are paying tribute today, and you are our most honored guests. Last night at the dinner table, I asked my children what I should say to the students graduating the next day. My somewhat precocious 7-year-old, Gracie, did not miss a beat, quickly responding, "Tell them congrats, bada bing, bada boom, have a good summer. Now, see, your applause is confirming what I suspected, that that's really actually what people would like me to say and just sit down. So, but I'm the president, I'm going ahead anyway. My question was playful, her answer was playful, but I do think if we surveyed all of you, you'd probably say that's about all we needed from Matt Holland this morning. Albert Einstein once said that there are only two things that are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the former. Without much of a stretch, Einstein might have added a third candidate for things that seem never-ending, and that would be a university convocation. To keep Einstein honest with a list of two candidates and to keep with the spirit of my Gracie's wisdom, I will be brief. I begin today with opening lines of a book all of you graduates would be well served to read sometime today. It's the final crowning publication of one of the most prolific man of arts and letters our nation has produced. But as university graduates, you should now be more than well equipped to work through this text. I speak of Dr. Seuss and his book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Now, I don't get a kickback from this, but I did notice it's on sale in the hallway just outside of the event center. So. The very first pages of this classic text reads, "Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away." Those are fitting words for a commencement. Of course, if you take time to read the whole book, you will quickly find that it is not predicated upon some shallow naivete about paths to great places that are always easy and clear. To the contrary, the book highlights that all those who will conquer mountains of great accomplishment will inevitably face hang-ups and bang-ups and bumps in a slump. Perhaps even more challenging will be those moments of doubt and uncertainty you will face as you leave this warm cocoon of learning and support we call UVU. As the good Dr. Seuss puts it, you will come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly they're dark. A place you could sprain both your elbow and chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right in three corners, or maybe not quite? Or go back around and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker-upper to make up his mind. For many, though certainly not all of you, your path to this point has been fairly well mapped out for you by parents and teachers and mentors. You have been pretty heavily directed and encouraged along a path that has taken you through public education, in many cases up through your university experience. Now, as you graduate, you will increasingly face big, independent decisions with large and lasting consequences. Often in these moments, you will not know exactly what to do, and no one can or should tell you what to do. You will come face to face, again and again, with that unsettling insight of the renowned Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who wrote that life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. There's actually a lot packed into that little aphorism. Let me just stress a few things this morning. The first half suggests that as much as you might want surety that the personal and professional choices you are making in life are the right and best ones, you cannot often know such things until after you have made them. If that is not sobering enough, the second half of the aphorism indicates that despite that fact, that you often cannot know in advance the soundness of the decisions you are making, you still must make decisions. Waiting for certainty, even on the most vital issues of your life, is a recipe for a most lifeless kind of life. But here is the good news in all of this today. By virtue of successfully pursuing a UVU education, you have equipped yourself with a body of knowledge and critical thinking skills that will make you so much better able to understand life, even if only backwards. Whether you've been here 2 years or 4, you undoubtedly leave here today filled with more awareness of the nature of the social, moral, and physical world around you, better able to reason, to identify, collect, and analyze data, and to process and articulate with greater precision what you really think and have discovered about life. Hopefully you will also leave here in the spirit of our official mission statement, committed to being a lifelong learner, which means you will take these newly acquired skills and will build on them by engaging in daily habits of reading and study, exploration and inquiry, and discussion and dialogue, particularly about the best books, the latest discoveries, the most critical civic issues, and the finest works of art and music. All of these things have and will simply sharpen your ability to glean as much understanding as possible from the life you have lived and the world you have inhabited so far. Even if Kierkegaard is right and life can only be understood backwards, a better, fuller, richer understanding of what you have lived and experienced in the past will surely make you wiser as you face the inherent uncertainty of the life choices arrayed before you. And so today, I leave you with the heartiest of commendations for spending the last few years of your life pursuing an education that more than almost anything else you could do ensures you will face life's exciting and mysterious opportunities with the kind of skills and perspectives likely to launch you into magnificent success. Remember that when you come to one of those places where the streets are not marked. As just one more word of counsel and encouragement on this, let me share with you a passage from William James, a 19th century American philosopher and pioneering figure of the discipline of psychology. I first came across this passage when I was just at the stage of life many of you are, wondering about my future and whether I would choose well when it came to what I would do with my life once I was finished with college. Dr. James, just like Dr. Seuss, paints a vivid, if much more serious image of a person setting out to conquer a mountain of important and satisfying human accomplishment. He writes, "What do you think of yourself? What do you think of the world? These are the questions with which all must deal as it seems good to them. They are the riddles of the Sphinx, and in some way or other we must deal with them. In all important transactions of life, we have to take a leap in the dark. If we decide to leave the riddles unanswered, that is a choice. If we waver in our answer, that too is a choice. But whatever choice we make it at our peril. Each must act as he thinks best, and if he is wrong, so much the worse for him. We stand on a mountain pass, in the midst of whirling snow and blinding mist, through which we get glimpses now and then of paths which may be deceptive. If we stand still, we shall be frozen to death. If we take the wrong road, we shall be dashed to pieces. We do not know certainly whether there is any right one. What must we do? Be strong and of good courage. Act for the best, hope for the best, and then take what comes. If death ends all, we cannot meet death better." My dear students, I may not have had a chance to meet with all of you personally this year, but you need to know that you are beloved to me. I speak for many, many other faculty, staff, and administrators when I say that your success is at the very heart of our institutional mission and my deepest personal motivation for serving this institution. And I would have you know that my optimism is extraordinarily high, that your future, while uncertain now, will be marked with splendid and triumphant achievement, especially as you draw upon and further develop those bodies of knowledge and key skills you have honed at this remarkable university. With that, I close where I began. Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. So be your name Buxbaum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai Allen, Alley Van Allen O'Shea, you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Thank you. It is now my distinct pleasure to officially welcome and honor our commencement speaker, Larry Echohawk, to UVU. Secretary Echo Hawk is a renowned legal scholar, a dedicated teacher, and a passionate advocate for Native American interests. Among his many distinctions, Secretary Echo Hawk is the first American Indian in U.S. history to be elected as a state attorney general, a position he held in Idaho following his election to the post in 1990. He currently serves as the 11th Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs for the U.S. Department of Interior. Secretary Echo Hawk has strong ties to this region. He played football at BYU while studying as an undergraduate there in the late 1960s and early 70s. He earned a Juris Doctorate from the University of Utah in 1993. Prior to joining the Department of Interior, Secretary Echo Hawk was a law professor at BYU's J. Reuben Clark Law School. In addition to his notable professional accomplishments as a lawyer, teacher, and public servant, Secretary Echo Hawk has demonstrated his commitment to the Native American population by serving as a past member of American Indian Services National Advisory Board and the Board of Trustees, the Indian Alcoholism Counseling and Recovery Housing Program, and the American Indian Community Resource Center Board. On behalf of the entire UVU community, I'm delighted to introduce to you our 2010 commencement speaker, Secretary Larry Echo Hawk.
President Holland, faculty members, honored graduates, family and friends. I want to first of all just express my heartfelt congratulations to the graduates of 2010 here at Utah Valley University. And I want to express my personal appreciation for the invitation that's been extended to me to be a part of this special day. I've been asked to say a few words about my journey in life. My message is about the power of education and the opportunity education gives us to serve others and to make this world a better place. I want to start with a few words about American Indians. I want to say something about the goodness of this nation, but also its challenges. My message is to all of you, and I want to start with two quotes from D.H. Lawrence. He said, "If you are an American, you are a part Indian in your roots." He also said, "The American Indian will never again control this continent, but he will forever haunt it." Echo Hawk. That is the name given to my great-grandfather, a Pawnee Indian, born in the mid-1800s in what we now call Nebraska. He did not speak English. He did not have a first and last name like we have today, but a name was given to him because he earned it. Among the Pawnee, the hawk is a symbol of a warrior, and my great-grandfather was known for his bravery, but he was also known as a quiet man who did not speak of his own accomplishments. But the tribal elders noticed that other members of the village spoke of his deeds, and it was like an echo from one side of the village to the other, and thus the elders of the tribe named him Echo Hawk. That is the English translation of his name in the Pawnee language. I'm very proud of that heritage. The first accounts of white men that came in contact with Pawnee Indians numbered the Pawnee people at about 20,000, living along mainly the rivers and upon the plains in what is now the state of Nebraska. Under the laws of the United States, the Pawnee people were entitled to occupy 23 million acres of land. It was their homeland. But in 1874, tragic happening occurred to the Pawnee people. like many other tribes in the United States, the federal government forced them off of their homelands in order to make way for settlement. My great-grandfather was 19 years old. In the winter of 1874, he was marched several hundred miles southward into what was identified as the Oklahoma Indian Territory. And there he was placed on a small reservation along the Cimarron River. That is a painful history. He was not allowed to leave that reservation to return to his homeland, to visit his ancestral grave sites, or to pursue the great buffalo herds that had sustained his people for many generations. But most painful is the realization that when he arrived at that reservation in Oklahoma, there were not 20,000 Pawnee people, not 10,000, not 5,000, not even 1,000. There were less than 700 Pawnee people remaining, and Echo Hawk was a survivor. One of the most free and independent and self-sustaining of all people upon the face of the earth, had become one of the most dependent people, almost overnight, based upon the policies of the federal government. But out of that pain was born promise. Of the 6 children born to my parents, all 6 of us had an opportunity, the first generation in our family, to go to college. 3 of us became lawyers. We have realized the very best that this country has to offer. We have realized the full promise of America. I want to tell you about the moment where I felt that promise stronger than any other time. It was in 1990, on election night. It was in that year that I decided to do something that was beyond my wildest dreams as I was growing up, and that is to run for a statewide political office, the office of Attorney General. And that when I filed my petition for candidacy, I knew that I was facing an uphill run. There had not been any member of my political party in 20 years elected to that office. There had not been any member of my county in 38 years elected to any statewide office. But I didn't realize this when I filed my petition for candidacy, but in all the history of the United States of America, there had never been an American Indian elected to any statewide state constitutional office like governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, or attorney general. And I knew that it would be a difficult campaign. At that time, Idaho was the most Republican state in America. I was running as a Democrat. And the leading newspaper in the state published an article that kind of deflated me because the political writer for the state's largest newspaper said Larry Echo Hawk has no chance to win election. He starts with 3 strikes against him. He's a Mormon, Indian, Democrat. But I think that just empowered me to work hard. And on that election night, late in the evening, I received a telephone call from my opponent, and he conceded the election in a very close race. And after just a few moments, I found myself standing in front of a large group of news reporters. I would say it was extra large because this was American history. And I didn't have a written speech that night. It's not because I didn't think I could win, but I stood there and just spoke from my heart, and I wanted to share with you for a moment what I said. I repeated words that I had heard when I was 15 years old. They were spoken by a black civil rights leader standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. The message, I think, was aimed primarily at African Americans who had struggled to break the bonds of slavery, but other people of color that were disadvantaged and lacking opportunity listened in. And the Echo Hawk family was among them. And so that night, I repeated words. I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream, that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day my children will be raised in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And that night I felt the power of those words. I felt the power of those words and the realization of that promise. I could not have achieved that moment had I not had an opportunity to achieve a good college education, and had I not been given a vision of what I could do with that education. I have been blessed in life to have many mentors, but I want to talk to you for just a moment about one in particular. It is my older brother. He is the famous Echo Hawk. His name is John Echo Hawk. He has been identified as one of the 100 most powerful lawyers in America. In the recent news that's been published about the opening in the United States Supreme Court, his name has been mentioned as a possible appointment to that position on the United States Supreme Court. I was a football player at Brigham Young University. As I was nearing my graduation, my older brother John was finishing law school. He was the first graduate of a program that was conceived during the civil rights era of the 1960s. At that time, there were virtually no American Indians that held a law degree. But those that were active in civil rights movement said that we need to recruit Native Americans to go to law school because they, as a people, are heavily impacted by law. And so the program was designed to recruit Native American students, send them to law school, give them a vision of what they could do to change the lives of their people. And John Echo Hawk was the first graduate of that program, and he took his younger brother aside and he said, "Larry, I think you ought to go to law school." And we said that, I thought it was like the wildest thing I'd ever heard because I'd never thought about going to law school. And I remember I responded to him, "Why should I go to law school?" And he said these words, "Because it will give you the power to change." And when he said that, I'm embarrassed to admit, I thought he was talking about me. I could already see a nicer home with a really nice looking car sitting in the driveway because I knew that lawyers made more money than high school football coaches. And that would have been an honorable profession to pursue. But he said, "You need to go to law school because a legal education will help you to change the world for our people." It wasn't just words. I watched what he did in his life. When he graduated from law school, he took the lowest paying job in the legal profession. That was time it was called legal services. You work for impoverished people, and he did that with the California Indian Legal Services. When he finished his service there, he was a visionary person, and he created an organization known as the Native American Rights Fund, a public interest law firm. It's not in the business of making profit. It's in the business of changing the law to right some wrongs and to help lift people. I couldn't have been more proud of a brother. He was a good role model. When I graduated from law school, I tried to follow in his footsteps. My first job was the California Indian Legal Services, and I have been blessed to have his credo become my credo, to try to return something for what I've received and to use my education to serve other people. It's been a wonderful life to serve as a legal services lawyer, to serve as a tribal lawyer for Idaho's largest tribe for 9 years, to be a county attorney and a state attorney general, serving in elective office, trying to help people, trying to make this a better world. The capstone of my career, I thought, was serving as a law professor at Brigham Young University. But things changed. On January 13th of 2009, I received a telephone call from the presidential transition team. I had not held any position with the Obama campaign, was not applying for any job, not lobbying for any position. I was totally satisfied in teaching law school at BYU, one of the courses being federal Indian law. But this person on the telephone said, "We have an airline ticket for you. We want you to fly to Washington, D.C. We would like to talk with you," not mentioning any particular position. So I got on that airplane and I flew to Washington, got off the airplane, went immediately up to an office on Capitol Hill. And I met for about an hour with 3 individuals that peppered me with questions, never saying anything about any particular job. And they, at the end of the interview, they said, "Thank you very much," shook my hand, and that was it. So I went back, it was late in the evening, to a hotel in Washington, D.C. About an hour later, the telephone rang. And the voice on the line used some very powerful words. "Your country is calling you into service." They offered me the position as the nominee of the President of the United States to serve as the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs. I want you to know that I did not say yes. I hesitated. I knew that if I accepted the position, I would become the face of the federal government in Indian country. And there have been some dark, haunting chapters in American history. The record of the federal government has not been good through various generations of time. I flew back here to Utah. And when I got home, I went to my bookcase and I took a book off the shelf, a book that I had read when I was a graduating law student at the University of Utah. It was a bestseller. The name of the book is "Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee," written by D. Brown. It takes a period of 30 years from 1860 to 1890, and each chapter is devoted to some tragic history of Native American people. The United States military in that 30-year time frame launched military campaigns to conquer Native people and to take their lands. I wanted to be reminded of that history before I said yes. I already knew as a professor teaching federal Indian law that Native people have been subjugated. They have been dominated in the courts and in the Congress. Their rights have been diminished over time. I hesitated, but I could not say no. President Obama's message of hope and change resonated within my heart and soul. I wanted only to do what is right and just, not only for the first Americans, but for America. I believe in America. I believe in the spirit of America. A spirit that says, though, that no matter who you are, from whatever race, ethnic origin, gender, or whatever your economic station in life may be, that this must be a land of opportunity for all people. The American Indian was scattered, smitten, and nearly destroyed. Most of our lands were taken, but solemn promises were made in return. Most of those promises were not kept. Neglect in keeping those promises has led to suffering, generation after generation. Our needs today remain great, but we are now writing new chapters of American history that are promising and not dark and haunting. I will faithfully execute the trust responsibility of the United States of America owed to Native people. Great nations, like great men, should keep their word, and I will do all I can to see that this nation keeps its word. To the graduates, of the class of 2010, your country is calling you into service. Use your education to make this a better nation and a better world. Thank you very much.
What a feast that was. Thank you, Secretary Echo Hawk. In recognition of your good work on behalf of our American Indian students and nations, we'd like to invite 2 of our 28 Native American graduates to present you with a gift at this time. We would also invite your wife, Terry, to join you on the stand with us to receive these gifts. Larry Hanks is from Cedar Ridge, Arizona, and is graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in Technology Management with an emphasis in electrical auto-robotic technology. Siobhan Todacini is from Tisto, Arizona, graduating in Community Health with a minor in American Studies. In the fall, Siobhan will be pursuing a master's degree in public health at Westminster College. Members of the UVU Board of Trustees will now present honorary doctorate degrees to Mr. Echo Hawk, as well as Mary T. Morris, Miles D. Morris, and Linda P. Walton. Trustee Chair Lund, will you and Mr. Echo Hawk please come forward for the first presentation?
Whereas Larry Echo Hawk has championed Native American interests as an advocate in the public and private arenas, whereas he has made history as the first American Indian elected as a state attorney general when he served in that post for the state of Idaho. Whereas he serves a key role in representing underserved populations as the 11th Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs for the U.S. Department of the Interior. Whereas he taught legal principles to prospective attorneys as a professor at BYU's J. Reuben Clark Law School. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Utah Valley University hereby confers upon Larry Echohawk the honorary degree of Doctorate of Political Science, realized this 30th day of April 2010 in Orem, Utah.
Pursuant to the authority vested in me as president of Utah Valley University by the Utah State Board of Regents, I hereby confer upon Larry Echohawk the honorary doctorate of political science. Congratulations, Secretary Echohawk, and welcome to the UVU family. We will now award an honorary doctorate of humane letters to Mary T. Morris. Trustee Jeanette Hales Beckham and Mrs. Morris, will you please come forward?
Whereas Mary T. Morris has distinguished herself as a committed community supporter and friend of Utah Valley University, whereas she and her husband Miles operated a successful business, Morris Motors, for nearly 5 decades in Utah County, whereas she has helped grow a tiny gas station with 2 service bays into a dealership with franchises from General Motors, American Motors, Jeep, and Chrysler. Whereas she lent her time and services as a member of the UVU Foundation Board and Advisory Council of the Woodbury School of Business. Whereas she and Miles have pledged generous financial support over the years to worthy projects, such as scholarship funds, the Auto Diesel Department, Woodbury School of Business, and the UVU Library. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Utah Valley University hereby confers upon Mary T. Morris the honorary degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters, realized this 30th day of April 2010 in Orem, Utah.
Pursuant to the authority vested in me as president of Utah Valley University by the Utah State Board of Regents, I hereby confer upon Mary T. Morris the honorary doctorate of Humane Letters. Thank you, Mary, for your fine service to UVU and the community over these years. We will now award an honorary doctorate of Humane Letters to Mary's husband, Miles D. Morris. Mr. Morris, will you come forward while Trustee Greg Butterfield reads the resolution?
Whereas Miles D. Morris has garnered a reputation as a talented businessman and generous community supporter, whereas he and his wife Mary turned a humble service station in Provo into a bustling dealership that sold some 180,000 vehicles, providing jobs and economic support to the region and for a livelihood for the Morris family and their benefactors. Whereas he has shared his considerable expertise as an advisor for the UVU's automotive department, whereas he and Mary have pledged generous financial support over the years to worthy projects such as scholarship funds, the auto diesel department, Woodbury School of Business, and the UVU Library. Therefore, it has been resolved that the Board of Trustees of Utah Valley University hereby confers upon Miles D. Morris the honorary degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters, realized this the 30th day of April, 2010, in Orem, Utah.
Pursuant to the authority vested in me as President of Utah Valley University by the Utah State Board of Regents, I hereby confer upon Miles D. Morris the Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters. Thank you, Miles, for your service to UVU and the community over these many years. We will now award an honorary doctorate of humane letters to Linda P. Walton. On a personal note, I would like to share with the audience that today is Linda's birthday. Though she wouldn't do this for me, to spare Linda a little embarrassment, I'll scrap my original plan to lead the entire arena in singing a round of happy birthday. Instead, I'll simply wish her a memorable and happy birthday and hope that those of you who know her do the same when you see her today. Linda, please come forward while Trustee Doyle Mortimer reads the resolution.
Whereas Linda P. Walton has simultaneously built a notable career and extended her time and talents in support of the community, whereas she began her career as a reporter with the Orem Geneva Times before moving into public relations roles with Central Bank and then Utah Technical College in advance of her starting her own PR firm, the Walton Group. Whereas her considerable talents have been punctuated by congressional and gubernatorial appointments, as well as a plethora of high-profile accolades over the past few decades. Whereas in addition to her tireless service to the community, Linda has made time to contribute to UVU's development over the years in roles such as chaplain and through service to campus organizations such as the Interfaith Student Association, Community Relations Council, Marketing Advisory Board, and UVU Student PR Agency. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Utah Valley University, they hereby confer upon Linda P. Walton the honorary degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters, realized this 30th day of April, 2010 in Orem, Utah.
Pursuant to the authority conferred upon me as President of Utah Valley University by the Utah State Board of Regents, I hereby confer upon Linda P. Walton the Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, for all you have done and continue to do for UVU and this community. Congratulations to you and the rest of our honorary degree recipients. With special thanks to the Board of Trustees, it is a pleasure and a privilege to award these degrees to such outstanding individuals. We will now move to the portion of the program that everybody has been waiting for, the presentation of candidates for the degrees, first for undergraduates, then for UVU's first class of master's degree graduates. Elizabeth Hitch, Vice President for Academic Affairs, will now join me and present the candidates for graduation.
Candidates for Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Associate of Science, Associate of Arts, Associate of Applied Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of completion, please stand. President Holland, on behalf of the faculty, I present the candidates for bachelor and associate degrees, diplomas, and certificates. These candidates have completed all requirements for these degrees, diplomas, and certificates, and the faculty has approved their candidacy pursuant to the final completion of all of their requirements. President, I now recommend that the degrees, diplomas, and certificates be awarded them.
Candidates, you have fulfilled all requirements for the appropriate bachelor's degree, associate degree, diploma, or certificate, and have been recommended by the faculty for graduation. By virtue of the authority vested in the Utah State Board of Regents and delegated by them to me, I hereby confer upon you the appropriate degree, diploma, or certificate. You may now move your tassels from the right to the left side of your mortarboard to indicate your graduation. While the graduates are still standing, I think this would be a great opportunity for them to acknowledge their families and friends with a round of applause for all the support and encouragement they have received while striving to complete their programs. Graduates, you may be seated and go find a job. As I noted when we began today, it is a historic day in many ways. For the first time in its history, UVU will award master's degrees. School of Education Dean Brian Farnsworth and his faculty have ably developed and guided this inaugural class through the requirements for completing this degree, and we thank them for their fine work. Vice President Hitch will now come forward to present the candidates for these degrees.
Will the candidates for the Master's in Education degree please come forward? On behalf of the faculty, I present the candidates for the Master of Education degree. These candidates have completed all the requirements for this graduate degree, and the faculty have approved their candidacy pursuant to the final completion of all of their final work. President Holland, I now recommend that the Master of Education degree be awarded them. School of Education Dean Brian Farnsworth will come forward to announce these first graduates.
Ashley Barker. Rachel Burton. Kelly Carlson. Erica Decker.
Janine DeMongwin. Tina Braithwaite. Nancy Hale. Lisa Heyer. Mary Kadish. Anna Mortimer. Zachary Nelson. Anna Rojas. Jenny Stauffer. Eliza Valenzuela. And Wendy Wakefield.
Well, we want to thank and congratulate our Masters of Education graduates. What a wonderful day this is. These are happy days. These are days that maybe as much as any day of the year remind me why I went into education. I know that I expressed the feeling for many administrators, so many if not all of the faculty who serve so well and long and give so much, who are as proud today with you as we are and as your parents are for this great accomplishment. But we especially do honor and recognize you graduates. Thanks for sticking with it. It's worth it. It will mean so much to you all the rest of your life. We join you in this final moment of celebration and congratulation. Thank you. We will now separate to convocations or receptions for the various colleges and schools. We ask that the audience remain seated for the recessional and then proceed to their graduates' convocation or reception. Please refer to the inside back cover of the commencement program for exact time and locations of convocations or receptions, or check with one of the many ushers located in the hallways. I also invite you to attend a reception hosted by my wife, Paige, and I from 3 to 5 today in the Library Cove at the west end of the first floor of the library. Thank you very much. On behalf of the faculty and staff of Utah Valley, I want to offer each of you my sincerest thanks for helping us celebrate the accomplishments of our students this day. Thank you.